immense pleasure to introduce our local champion for liberty and this year's Master of Ceremonies. The doctor is in the house.
I want to tell you about an important moment in my life. 1 year ago today, 5,000 people gave up their time to stand in the rain with fellow patriots out of pure exasperation to tell their government, quite simply, enough is enough, is enough, is enough, is enough. We have had enough. They came out for years of frustration that had built inside them. Year after year, I'm sure you felt it, year after year, saying, when will something happen? When will people come together? Last year was that moment. 1 year ago today, I was here, and it was one of the most profound moments in my life. About an hour before we went on last year, it was about 5:30 or so, and I told Jim and Sarah James and some other people, I said, well, if we get a few hundred people, I'll be pretty happy. It's raining, this is brand new. I mean, our perception now is we know what the Tea Parties are. We understand it. We've been to a bunch and we've been involved. But back then, people were just saying, well, I don't know if this is going to mean anything. And we got more than that couple hundred. We got 5, maybe even as many as 6,000 people. As I left, let's get there for last year, there for this year. As I left last year, I remember hoping and praying, and I said on the air that I hope the passions and involvement that the people had and felt wouldn't fizzle, and I was really concerned they would. But I can say we're here at another moment in time, 1 year later, and it is not fizzled. It is simply built upon day after day of everybody's involvement. 1 year later, I can say with a great deal of pride and excitement that those who would stand and fight for freedom are doing just that. They're standing and fighting for freedom. And here we are at another moment in time. And over the last year, we've all had many moments in our lives where we've had realizations, involvements, different moments that mattered to us more. The tactics have changed. At first, the Tea Parties didn't exist. They didn't matter. They ignored them. It was not 5,000 people. It was 5 people here. It was not 30 or 50,000 people in San Antonio with Glenn Beck last year. It was 10,000. It was ignore them, downplay them. The tactics have now changed. Now they can't ignore us. They simply cannot ignore us. It's estimated that a third of Americans already sympathize and feel the same things that the Tea Partiers all go to, a third of them. And while they downplay that in the media, that's a third, that's 100 million people strong. The tactics have changed now for our new moment in time. The tactics now are discredit the Tea Partiers. And they've tried, all the BS that was floated in places like D.C., the lies, the misstatements, trying to discredit the Tea Partiers. It's not going to work. It simply is not going to work. Simply because you're smart and you're informed and you're involved and you're here, and I thank you for that. One of the greatest threats, maybe the greatest threat to freedom, is being given freedom without working for freedom. And that's unfortunately what a lot of us have been blessed with. But the downside is we don't appreciate it like people who had to work for it. Members of the military here, let's hear it for the members of the military. You fought for it. You put your time, your effort, and your life on the line. You appreciate it more. But there's a lot of us that grew up under the protection of the flag. We didn't appreciate it, and that is a very sad thing, because generation after generation they appreciated less. And I think that's one of the reasons we got here. That is probably the greatest threat to freedom. So now that we're at this moment in time, a year later, where people have begun to wake up and started getting involved, hopefully that threat will go away. That threat will diminish, and we can now just look at the true threats that exist, and that is those bastards in Washington. You know, when you think about it, history really records very few moments. I mean, there are countless moments in countless lives, and history doesn't record most of those moments. It records the big moments, the spectacular moments like today or last year's Tea Party, or some of the biggest moments of all, like Thomas Jefferson signing drafting the Declaration of Independence and the people signing it. Those are the moments that we think about. Those are the moments that get recorded. So think about that moment for a moment. Think about Thomas Jefferson as he sat down and he dipped that pen in the inkwell. And he slowly put the words on paper. That's a powerful moment. That's a moment that history recorded. Or think about General Wainwright on the USS Missouri when the Japanese surrendered. Imagine that moment. History records those moments, but there are countless moments that made those moments possible. The soldiers that landed on Omaha Beach and Utah Beach that fought and what made General Wainwright being there possible, made those possible. And there are even less seemingly significant moments that led to those moments. There are so many moments in time that you don't realize because they seem insignificant, but they're not. And that is my call to you. Is this your moment? Is this the moment you will put in that will lead to the bigger moment, that will lead to the biggest moment of us taking back America? Is this your time? Is this your moment? Will your moment be tomorrow? Will it be a week from now, a month from now, when you're sitting at home doing research, calling friends, getting involved, making sure other people are involved, registering people to vote? Is this your moment? Will you make this your moment? If you make this your moment in time, then there's no stopping us. Before I bring up our next speaker, I want to leave you with one thing. A quote that I saw the other day. I was just surfing the net, and I stumbled across it, and I was unaware of it. And the quote is, "Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust." You know what that's from? There's a line that follows it that says, "And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave." That's the end of the fourth and final verse of the Star-Spangled Banner. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Make this your moment. Make this moment count. This moment will lead to much more significant moments.